Hey YouTube, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I'm on live, and it's Thursday, July 25th, 2019. Now I thought I'd do a live stream just to kind of catch everybody up on what all's been going on for the week. I've got this thing sitting on a picnic table at the travel park, so if there's any vibration or whatever like this, it's because I've got it sitting on my camera bag propped up against the 200mm f4 Nikkor. I've got some notes so that I know what all I want to talk about, so I won't forget something. But I've been very busy the last week, so it's kind of been hard for me to make a video. Here comes Teresa. She'll be coming in camera over here in just a second. But we're getting caught up from last weekend. Hello, Maxim. Last weekend I had this camera set up exactly like this. Well, without the lens cap. But I was using the XT3 to shoot a wedding video for a family member. I did it as our wedding gift to them for getting married. They wanted me to create like a little montage video, so they gave me some examples so I knew what I was dealing with and what they wanted. And once I had the basic premise kind of under my belt, you might say, I've set out to gather the footage for the video. This is where it gets kind of comical, because I filmed footage from the rehearsal. There's my Aunt Donna. How you doing? But we got footage of the rehearsal. We got footage of the rehearsal dinner. I got a little bit of that. I got footage of the preparations the morning of the wedding. I got footage of the wedding itself. I got footage of the reception, all the way up to them driving away out of the car. There's Axe. How you doing, Axe? So I get home and I start unpacking all of that footage. Now, some of it was the GoPro, but the bulk of it was this camera got warm. I've never used this camera so much that it got hot. It actually got hot. I filmed so much with it on Saturday. But the footage wound up running into like, 980 minutes of footage. Oh, yes, there was 140 gigabytes of video files. The finished video is 3.5 minutes long. I had to fit it to a George Strait song. Matter of fact, it was called, let's see here, it was I Crossed My Heart by George Strait. So it's copyrighted music, so I won't be uploading the whole video to my channel. I don't want to have to pay George for his song. Yeah, but because of that, I gave it to them. That was the music they wanted scored to, so that's what I used. But it's for their personal use. It's not a commercial endeavor. I didn't charge them for it. I gave it to them as a wedding gift. But yeah, it was a really stressful event that I wasn't sure if I was prepared for, especially with just really one video camera. Anyone wants me to video their wedding? Well, it wasn't videoing the wedding. It's basically a highlight reel, you might say. So what, I captured way too much footage once I started unpacking it and realizing the song was only 3.5 minutes long. I literally went in and put markers at the 1, 2, and 3 minute marks so that as I was building out the video, I could say, rehearsal and preparation before wedding is rehearsals, up to the 1 minute or maybe a little before, preparation up to 2 minutes, and in between 2 and 3 we got to have the ceremony. And then it kind of gave me like guidelines, and I left a lot of stuff out of it. Like, well, if you got 980 minutes and you only use 3.5, most of it's not in there. But that's what I've been doing this week. I've done it. They were, like my Aunt Donna's here. My Uncle Randall, her brother, asked me to shoot the photos of her nephews, my cousin's, Jordan's wedding. But I don't have the skills to do wedding photos. I watched the wedding photographer they hired to shoot their wedding photos, and that's a very stressful and very taxing job. There's a lot that happens on the fly, and there's a lot of rearranging and making sure, like, you got to make sure you get the bride with all of these different people, the groom with all these different people, the bride and the groom with all these different people after the ceremony, because before, the bride can't see the groom or vice versa, so they kind of keep them separated. So they keep one off in one room while the other one comes in and does photos. And man, it was mitigated chaos was a nice way to put it. And I got a little bit of footage of that, but for me, I told them that I wasn't going to stage any photos or any shots for the footage, that what I was going to do was be a fly on the wall and just capture things here and there, and I would take that footage and then build their montage video. And I think it turned out okay. You know, it's not the greatest video in the world because I shot it with handheld with an unstabilized. The lens has stabilization, but you can tell I didn't have like a gimbal or any of the things that normally goes into the making the footage perfectly smooth. And I didn't use warp stabilizer. I made it look like it's almost like a found footage video. Let's see. David Osterler always tells people, if you can't do video, you'll be left behind. So be it. I'm left behind. Oh, I don't know where Bass Angler's at. He's supposed to come in here. Me and him's been chatting about this. Ah, there he is. I was wondering where you was at. I got my photo for my thumbnail and bailed out, done a little admin stuff, and then went back into the live stream, and there was no Bass Angler. Bass Angler helps me as a moderator. If y'all haven't noticed, he's got the wrench. He has the band hammer, but so me and him kind of coordinate these a little bit. I left him out of one the other day by accident. Not intentional. Not intentional. I didn't do it on purpose. But yeah, that's what we've been doing instead of making this week's video vlog. Yeah, Maxim is saying, video is a different skill set. Yes, the basic principles, oops, I lost it. The basic principles are the same with the composition, but composing with motion added, continuity and editing are different skills. Yes, and like with my vlogs, I try to build in transitions with the camera. I try to use, Peter McKinnon had a video on in-camera transitions that you can make yourself and save yourself a bunch of time in post-processing. And it gives it that little extra something that makes the video have a little more spice. And like, well, in like the in his video, he shows he takes a camera and he does this and this, and he just does all sorts of things, and it gives it that nice, like, after he's shot them 2 or 3 clips, he's got that same general area. So when he does the blur transition movements, it gives him those nice transitions that it just adds that little spice. Well, what I done was I used existing motion. I used camera motion a little, not something that extreme, but like panning in and out I did. And then I used, like when they were doing the photos, I would get the cut point and I'd run the footage up to the moment that the photographer's flash fired, and my frame would turn white. Well, once it would turn white, I'd go 1 frame past it and I'd cut the footage there, and then I'd drag it back to the alignment point with the music, so it would be in time with the music. And then I would take that footage and then I'd trim the front end so that when it transitioned into that clip, it'd play through, and then the moment their flash would fire, that was a transition to the next clip. And so I used that one. But it's tough, especially if you're not used to doing it. You know, making my little videos and vlogs, it's kind of what would you call it? It's more relaxed. Where is Sony boy? I texted him. That's why I was a few minutes late. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, I have notes. If y'all didn't notice, if y'all wasn't here at the beginning of the live stream, I got a notebook, and so to make sure I didn't forget anything. But yeah, I shot the whole thing in 120p slow-mo. I just wanted to see what it would look like. Actually, it turned out really good. I learned something about the XT3 that I didn't realize. If you shoot 120p slow-mo, it doesn't record audio at all. You just have silent footage. Fortunately, I was scoring it to a musical song, and I wasn't going to like speed any of it up and use it for regular footage. You know, all you have to do is run it at 500% and it would act like 24 frame footage, but I got no audio track. So learning that was an interesting tidbit. I actually got everything set the day before, done some practice shots, but I done them at home by myself. So when I played them back, well, the house was quiet and I wasn't talking on camera, so I didn't realize it wasn't recording audio. Oh look, Long Rider, I'm sitting here admiring my Sony A7R4. You are not, unless you're looking at it on the internet. You ain't looking at no A7R4. Sony boy is drooling over the A92. Oh, be quiet. Oh, yeah, what Sony's doing is they're messing with you. They're not going to give you that A7S III. They're just not going to do it. They've decided they're not going to do it. Oh. But I have been working on a lens review. It's actually the kit lens. No one really reviews the kit lens for some reason. This lens is actually noteworthy. It actually works really well, and it's a really well-made lens. And I've used it a lot recently with excellent results. I don't know why people don't like the kit lens, but it's a fabulous little lens. I just don't understand it. But I'm doing that review. I've got another one already scheduled. I got a video coming out Saturday I built last week, and I already scheduled it. You mean this or the A7R4? You want the 16 to 80? Yeah, the 80 mil would be nice, but you did this lens? Well, mine will be coming out by like Monday or Tuesday. But I found that this lens works really well for video. I found it last week, so it's a good multi-purpose lens, and I have a lot of what's the right word? I like it a lot, whatever that right word is for that. But yeah, it's just a really nice lens, and it's weather sealed. Well, it's weather resistant. You did? What kind of video camera did you order? You got my interest now. Because now I want to know. Hey, look, I had somebody going by. I'm at the campground in Chattanooga tonight. So, out with it. What'd you order? You got a video camera. I want to know what it is. You can't do that. You can't drop a bomb like that and then not fill it in now. But yeah, I've got back on track. I've got the 75 to 150 Nikkor Series E lens review coming out Saturday. That lens actually kind of surprised me a little bit. It's got some issues in bright direct sun. Like, it's got chromatic aberration issues in bright sun, and it's got ghost issues if you get the sun on the front element. Like, you know, if it hits that front element, you're getting some issues with some flaring or ghosting. But on indoors, overcast conditions, it would make an excellent indoor portrait lens. Seriously. If you were shooting with lights indoors with diffuse lighting, it would be a phenomenal lens. It's manual focus, but with focus peaking, I found it easy to get focus. It's seemed like it has a half a turn of focus throw from min to max. So it was actually easy. Sony Handycam. Sony, Long Rider, you got you a helper here. Those are good cameras. The image stabilization in them Sony Handycams it's out of this world. Yeah, it is. It's a great lens. The only thing I've seen with it, because I did read some other people's comments about it. I did a little bit of research online, trying to find out mainly I was searching for the years of manufacture, but while I was doing it, I found a lot of people had written reviews from days gone by before they were making YouTube videos. Yeah, it's a Series E lens, yeah. It's the Bargain Basement Budget series that Nikon made. They found that if you used it a lot, it started to develop zoom creep real bad. Like the whatever they're using in there to generate the drag, maybe whether it be a piece of felt or a O-ring or whatever, it wears pretty quick. And then the zoom ring just flops front to back after if you use it a good bit. Yeah, I got a Series E 50mm too, and it's an incredible little lens. I had an older one that had the chrome focus ring, or it had the little chrome ring on it that was all metal, and it had something stuck in the helicoil. You'd focus about halfway and hit a tight spot, and then it'd push on by it. I guess the grease was dried up in it or something. So I bought one of the newer plastic ones. Works like a dream, and it's only like that thick. Literally, it's almost a 1/2 inch thick, super thin lens. It was the kitted lens. Yeah, they photogs from days gone by said that they basically used it for a body cap. It came with the camera. It just was what came with the camera instead of a zoom. Yeah, but I really like it. I like I have the 50mm 1.8 AF. It's the D series, the screw drive focus, but it's so much bigger to get the focus mech in there. It's it's that thick, so, to where that other one, shoot, it's only that big. The only problem with those really thin lenses is you need a smaller camera body, honestly, to be able to reach it. When I put it on the D810, it took really good photos, but it was hard to get to it, especially with the battery grip in the way. It was awkward. But with like a D40 or the D200, they're small enough footprint cameras that it's easy to reach. And it works out to be a pretty nice little portrait lens for those, I see Teresa made it back. Aunt Donna's on here.
Really?
Yeah, she caught me on the live stream. Oh, you done got blankets again. Teresa's a sucker for a blanket. She can't let them go. See you in a little bit. Let's power up the backup source of energy. I have to make sure that I bring external power, because once the sun goes down like it's about to, the phone starts to need a little more energy to get the shot. I'll have to relocate probably back to where I was last week here in a little bit. Let's see. Oh yeah, another reason I've been, dang, this table is very flimsy. I can just touch the table when the camera moves. But I shot 900. Oh, I've done talked about that. Ha! I caught up all my notes. Oh yeah, the Nikon hat. Bass Angler asked me where I got the Nikon hat. This is actually from SHOT Show 2016 or 17, the Nikon Sport Optics booth at SHOT Show. I had to ask them. They had it hit. But what I was hoping was they had the black one with the yellow logo on it, but they didn't have any of them. They said that would be at, what is it? Not WPPI. They're probably there too. But Photokina, the one in Germany, happens every other year or whatever they did. That big one over in Europe. They said they'd probably have some there, but since they were the hunting optics, they had rifle scopes and binoculars, they only had some of these. But that's how I got it. I kind of covet this, and I shouldn't, but I do, because it's hard to find stuff with the Nikon logo on it. But yeah, I try not to lose it. Let's see what you said here. You'll have to go to a trade show where Nikon has a booth set up. That was where I found it. It wasn't just like a gun dealer. It was the actual Nikon rep from Nikon Sport Optics. There you go. Oh, I didn't pay attention to what he was saying. So all right, Donna, when you gonna let me play with your new camcorder? Don't read that out loud. You'll just do without the hat. You are relentless. Let me see. I could move over to that. If I could drag this over to that table, that light would probably cast me enough to get me illuminated. I'm looking for a better source of light, guys. Thinking about relocating. Let's see what happens if I pick this up. It looked really good right up till the sun went down. Let's see. If I sit here, let's see here. If I'm here, ooh, that's kind of bright. Let's see if I back up something that though. Yeah. It's funny how that is, it looks blue to my eye, but it makes me look orange on camera. But it works. So I'm just gonna drag the table over here to that. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you what just happened. It might make somebody nauseous. Okay, I'll tell you. This 200mm f4 just fell off the table. All right, let's see if that's enough light. Wow, that side's even worse than this side. Let's see. There's that. Maybe that's the light source I'm looking for. Give me that nice flattering off-camera light. Let's see there. Put the lens cap back on. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I can't. That's right. It won't let me. It won't let me fix the white balance. You got to look at me orange. Figures. Let's see. You can use it anytime. I just got it for our Alaska trip. Oh, you're going to Alaska. If it is only at once in a while thing. Yeah. It'll really serve you well. Sony makes a good camcorder. We had Sony Handycams for years with the little bitty mini tapes, and they worked beautifully. We actually still have one because we still have some of those little mini tapes, and to be able to play them, you got to have one of those camcorders. So what we want to do is transfer them over to DVDs, and we bought one off of eBay for that purpose. But yeah, we had one for years. So the white balance looks okay. Good. But yeah, now I've got me some off-camera light. See, maybe I can scoot forward a little bit more, get a little more lumens on me. There we go. Now I've got myself colored up a little bit here. This'll all turn black before it's over with. And there, I got all that sorted out. But yeah, no one saw that RX 100 Mark 7 coming, did they? Oh, how many of them things are they gonna make? So, and from what I've heard, everybody's complaining because it went down to an f2.8 lens from an f1.8. So now you don't have as much aperture. So that they're losing what? Over a stop a light? Apparently they're thinking they're going to make up for it with ISO, I guess. They're just going to crank the ISO. Have to, great for dog walking. That'd be a nice little camera. I'll tell you, I looked seriously at them when I bought my GoPro. It gets sickening after a while. But I looked at it as one of the potential cameras for my. Oh no, Eric, are you serious? Ooh, take out the battery and then put the battery back in, and if it doesn't come on, run it through a cycle in the dishwasher and then put the battery in and try it. See if that helps. Make sure the lens is off. That way you can wash the sensor while you're at it. I got that information from Lexington, Kentucky. Oh. I didn't say that out loud. Now it's recorded for all posterity. Somebody will tag it at 25 minutes. He said this. But yeah, I thought that Mark 6 was a really nice little camera, and since the screen flipped up, I really wanted that camera for my vlogging camera. I looked at it very seriously. Only thing that the GoPro beat it out over was the GoPro has better stabilization, 1, and 2, it's smaller, and 3, it was about half the price. In my drug-induced nightmares. Oh. Oh. I've been, ever since last week when we talked about the whole who do I like, and I said I like John Free, I've been binge watching his videos again. I love the non-stop philosophy that he's saying the whole time that they're walking while he's filming. It's really interesting just to listen to him talk about it. You know, I've watched 3 or 4 of them in the last few days, and some of them I'll listen to them. I won't even watch, because most of the time it's just him walking down the street, and he doesn't take very many photos, but he's talking a lot. So I'll just lay down in the bed, put in my headphones, and just lay the phone down and listen to it. Don't ask Chuck Johns. Yeah, Chuck, you will regret it. I like John's, I like his approach. He likes to capture the moment. He doesn't like staged photos at all. So if you can't capture life as it's happening, he's not interested. And I like that aspect about him. You know, he doesn't want to do street portraits or somebody, he doesn't want them to smile for the photo. He just wants to catch it like it is, you know, and walk around and take pictures. It's a hobby, to each his own, you know. If that's what he likes to do, he needs to do it. And I like to watch him do it. I really like his style and his philosophy. I like Chuck too, but he got kind of dark with his before he started that whole off-grid thing where he moved to New Mexico. You know, he was doing that whole research project on heroin addicts in Chicago, and then he tried to cover that whole, was it Jefferson or Ferguson, Missouri deal, and he about got hurt by them protesters. You know, them people was about to riot, and he's down there trying to photograph it, and he about got mixed up in it. You know, it about got him hurt. I think that's when he decided he didn't want to do that anymore. I don't know. Does Chuck even do photography videos anymore? I haven't seen him on my newsfeed in a long time, and I haven't searched for him either. But my feed is kind of auto-populated by photography-related videos. Like there's a guy, what's his name? He's like Samuel L. Street Life, I think is the channel name. And he's a Japanese fella, and he takes a little 360 camera, and it's street photos with somebody, and it's some notable photographer that does street photography, and he'll do that 360 camera, and he'll hold it to where he can video the, what do you call it? He's mostly about me and the motorcycle. Yeah, I noticed he was riding his Harley over into Mexico a lot when I basically quit watching it. He had, I think, right about the time I stopped really watching those videos, he had gotten like most of the house to where you could live in it, and I'm not sure if his wife had came out yet or not. You know, he was trying to build the house and get it sort of livable, and then he was gonna move into it and then get it to where it was livable, bring her out then. and he was starting to do some kind of a project documenting, you know, he's a documentary photographer anyway. But he was documenting something about the border. He was going across the border into some town in Mexico to photograph it. But he wasn't showing photographs much. He was just showing like the motorcycle riding part. And I wasn't really interested in that subject, so I haven't seen his videos in a while. Pull up the... He don't know nothing about wheels. But yeah, you know, I guess it's to each his own. It's kind of interesting though. That and the whole, back on to what I was saying, the whole street photography genre, it started, I think mainly because with my phone, I've been interacting with it, and with these live streams, the phone is hearing the word street photography a lot, and Google listens to that, and it serves content based on the things that these phones listen to. They're hearing it. They're hearing everything. The mic's hot pretty much all the time. If people don't know it, it is. Google's listening. At least their computer is. And it's so they can serve you ad content. You know, that's what they're doing it for. That's the whole purpose of it, so they can get targeted ads, so they can get more revenue from the advertisers. That's the point, is to make money. But since I've been doing that more lately, especially since right around starting to upload the Philly video stuff, it started to show me a lot more street photography. And one of the ones I really liked was the Samuel L. Street Life, and he went with a gentleman named Suzuki. His last name was Suzuki. I can't remember his first name, Kyoto or something, I can't remember. But this guy is busy. Dude, he's got this deal where he darts in front of people on the street, and like sets the camera to zone focus, and he'll step in front of them and it'll spook them, and when they look up, he'll snap their photo and then walk on, you know. So he's constantly darting back and forth across the sidewalk to get these photos a lot of times. And he does a lot of, like I said, zone focus photos, where he'll set the focus distance and he'll just hold it up sideways, you know. He'll just hold it up, fire the frame, hold it up, fire the frame, you know, just waist level, fire it. He does a lot of that sort of stuff, and he gets a lot of interesting photos that way. But sometimes he misses them. But, you know, it's just street photography. But it was an interesting video watching him do that, because the guy don't speak English, so they were it was English subtitles, the whole video. It was kind of neat. Mm-hmm. People walking around the campground. It's actually pretty active tonight. I guess because it's summertime and people are out of school, so they're able to get out and go do stuff. Let's see here. I had something about this thing I was going to do. What was it? Now I can't remember. I hate it. That's why I started writing it down in my notepad, because I had a whole bunch of subjects I wanted to talk about tonight, but I can't remember what they were. And I thought, crap, I'm forgetting them. So I got out my notebook, started writing them all down. But yeah, this week's been covered up with that whole shooting the wedding Saturday, and then editing the video Sunday and Monday, and then I took it down to Danny's or Danette's mom yesterday and gave it to her so that she could show it to them. You know you did it right if they cry. So it was a success. But even though it was, in my book, it was pretty amateur, they were happy, so I ain't gonna complain. I wished I could have done a better job, but man, it was a lot of stress. Even though it wasn't paid, even though they had low expectations, you know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I just don't know. I don't know if I was comfortable with it, but yeah, she was happy with it. I was glad to see that. I think it would have been a lot smarter had I at least like second shot some weddings, or maybe fill shot and then see how they film them, because, dude, I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out as I go. And then, of course, every wedding photographer that videos a wedding videos it different. So I did a little research to see, you know, how do you do this, and nobody does it the same. It's not like photos where they're all pretty much, you know, there's a sequence that they do, and they all have to get the lighting right and the white balance right and all that garbage. But man, you did them for 8 years in the 80s. Oh, I know how crappy an activity it is, even though I was good at it. Yeah, I mean, and I was there a long time. So Saturday, I was filming from 8 a.m. I got down there at 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 6 p.m. at night. I spent, so yeah, what was that? 10 hours? Yeah, I was there 10 hours Saturday, and then 2 or 3 hours Friday night for the rehearsal, not including the editing. So, yeah, I can see why people would charge a significant amount of money to do this, because you would have, easily by the time I was done editing, I had 25 hours in this 3.5 minute video. I was kind of surprised when I started adding it up. Not to mention the cost of your equipment, you know. And I had Sierra there helping me. She was driving the GoPro, so she was getting GoPro footage. It was just, there was a lot going on. Oh wow, if you had radio triggers in the 80s, you was top tier, because that wasn't even really a thing for the average shooter until what? The late 90s or the 2000s, when radio triggers started to really become affordable. So yeah, I was kind of surprised at the guy that photoed this wedding, because he did it with basically a speed light mounted on camera. Every photo. He didn't have off-camera strobes. He didn't have hair lights. The last photographer I watched that photographed a wedding in the same church had off-camera lighting, had a hair light, you know, you had a key light and a hair light. They were hitting the back wall behind the bride with a light to make the wall like white, to give it that spray of light. They had that one. They were all synced together with radio triggers. Of course, then they had the strobe on the camera, because they always do that one for the reception. And then the one before that was all big studio umbrella lights, and they set all these light stands and stuff up, and had modifiers in the room. Everybody does it different. It's kind of strange to see all the differences. And the guy that used the light stands and the big studio strobes didn't have radios. What he used was slave mode. So he used a speed light on his camera, shot straight up at the ceiling, and he set it to like minimum power, I guess, and that would trigger his other lights. He used that for his radios, and it was kind of and it worked. It worked great for him. It's kind of neat to see that he got around the buying radio triggers by just using the speed light. He said that the speed light will fire the other ones every time. He said, and they're sympathetic, fire off each other. As long as it'll hit one of them, he said the other one will fire off of it. And he got really good photos. It was kind of neat to see that. Trying to line up a little bit of street photography, hopefully over the weekend. If I can arrange it Saturday morning, I'm gonna try to go do some. I don't know how much I'll get to do. We got some friends coming in from out of town tomorrow evening, and we'll be spending some time with them. May do a portrait shoot. We got a friend she's a professor down at University of Alabama. She teaches, I think it's psychology, and she's gonna come spend the weekend with us. So maybe I'll get to do a portrait shoot with her. Her and Teresa are big friends. Well, me too, but we know each other through Sacred Heart singing. But we're gonna do that hopefully Saturday, and maybe I'll get to do a little bit of street photography. Is Grant here? Grant, are you here? See if he chimes in. He may not be. I seen he went to a rock concert on Instagram. He was trying to get whoever was playing to let him shoot photos of them. And I was joking around. I said, and I'll help. I know how to hold a light, or I know how to hold a reflector. I don't think he is either. Yeah, he would have piped up if he was here. But what have you guys been doing this week? How much did Bassman pay you to make him the big cheese admin? Well, says how he doesn't use Sony cameras. That gave him a lot of street cred. Since he's a Nikon shooter and all. And he likes the D500. Street cred. No, I needed a mod, and me and him had been chatting a little bit off of the forum, or whatever you call it, off the platform, and so it was kind of a mutual agreement. I was like, shoot, yeah, I need somebody to kind of monitor comments just in case somebody gets in here that might be from Lexington and need to like muzzle them. So, because I can't keep up with the comments sometimes. Sometimes they're coming through so quick I can't see them going by. They come by on the screen. I can scroll them back and read them. That's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to keep up. He said he'd keep an eye on them for me. It's real helpful. I appreciate his help. The power hasn't. It's not like moss to a light. He did show up on one of my videos. Someone sent him into one of my videos, and he commented on it. That, I don't remember which one it was now. I was complaining about something. He agreed with me. I don't remember what it was now. I think I was complaining about how people are being sold a bill of goods on new cameras. It's like, perfect example, the A7R4. Who's that camera for? Everybody up till the day that camera is released has been using something else and doing phenomenal work with it. Getting paid just as much as they will after, if they're getting paid at all. Taking photos for their own personal use that are out of this world. Even Tony Northrup has said, you know, that it's overkill. And for him, who is a pixel peeper and loves sharpness to the nth degree, that wants to see the mite growing on the hair follicle on your face, said it was overkill. So it's overkill when he says it's overkill. You know, I mean, I don't know if you've seen they posted a photo where I think they took a photo of Manny Ortiz, and the catch light in his eye, because Chelsea was standing in front of like a French door. The catch light is 8 little blocks of light representing an 8-light French door, and she's standing in front of him. You can see her silhouette. They crop into just the eye, and it's crystal clear. It doesn't pixel out. You can see the outline of the windows. You can see her silhouette. You know, you can see how her elbows are tucked in where she's holding the camera. I mean, that's a lot of pixel density. It was incredible how much information was there, even after cropping into just the eye. But does it add value? Does it make you a better photographer? No, it don't. I mean, I've went backwards. I went from 36 down to 26 or 5 or whatever this one is, and I think my pictures have gotten better. I mean, not because it's a Fuji camera, but because I spent time to learn better composition, to learn how the light's falling in the scene. You know, who was it? Is it Zach Arias said capture the light, don't worry about the shadows, capture the light. What? Who was it said that? I wanted to say it was Zach Arias, the guy down in Atlanta. I like him too. But he's more about commercial photography. That's his shtick. He's about, you know, how to sell photography pretty much. He's not just a blogger. Yeah, and like Maxim said, you can stitch unlimited photos together, as far as I can tell, isn't it? I mean, Photoshop will let you stitch as many into a mosaic as you want. You can make gigapixel images if you want. It shouldn't be a big deal to have panos that are, you know, a terabyte in size. If you want to file that big, it shouldn't be a problem, because you can stitch them all you want. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but the background behind me now is black. There's a camper right here, you know. And I think the corner of another one's right there. You can't see that light. If I pan it over, you can see that. There's that one. But if I put it back to the rule of thirds, like old Camera Conspiracy says, I'm rule of thirding so hard right now. I kind of liked his latest video about that RX 100 Mark 7, I think it is. He's like, you made a camera nobody wants. Because really, you're going to get a few YouTube bloggers to buy it. Yeah, I love him. I love Casey. XT3 in my brain. I do, dude. I'm telling you, I like the X Pro 1. If I buy a second Fuji camera, and I'm really prone to, because in the distant future, we're going on a big trip, and I would like to have a spare camera on said trip should something happen to primary camera, because then I don't want to be relegated to just iPhoneography. You know, the iPhone does take an amazingly good picture with good light, but I don't want that to be my only camera. That, you know, it's like going on vacation to this exotic getaway, and you're a photographer, and you're relegated to a Kodak 110 camera that doesn't have a flash and 100-speed film. That's, in my mind, that's what I relate the iPhone camera when you have, you know, interchangeable lens systems to work with. But I like the X Pro 1 a lot. I really like that camera. If I could swing it, because I like the fact that it's compact and it carries all of those features. The only other one that has my mind even remotely more than that is the XH1, because it has IBIS. If I got the XH1, the XT3 might not see near as much use, because then all of them old Nikkor lenses suddenly become stabilized. That was what I liked about the Sony, was that it had image stabilization. It makes nice files, but it is slow to use because it has no electronic shutter, and it takes forever to write the files to the card. This one writes to the card pretty quick, and I bought these new memory cards. Let's see here. The other ones are 90 megabits or 95 megabits per second, and they're SanDisk. I like SanDisk cards; they work good for me. And these are 170 megabytes per second is what it says, or megabits. I'm not sure, but whatever the right speed of a card is, this one's 170, and it's not double the 95 when you write it. I think the microprocessor in the camera is the limit now. I think we've hit the wall on it. The card will accept the data faster than the camera can write it. So it is clearing the card, or clearing the buffer quicker, but it ain't twice as fast as a 95. But they weren't super expensive. They weren't that much more than the 95 megabit card. So I went ahead and got 2 of them for the Philly trip. So now I have 4 64 gigabyte cards that I carry everywhere, and then a couple of 32s. But I love those. I think these are these Supremes or Pros or Extreme Pros, yeah. The Extreme Pro by SanDisk. I really like a SanDisk card. I have never had a failed card from SanDisk, ever. You know, I think Tony Northrup is the only person that ever had cards fail on him, especially on camera failures. Oh, wait. What did you say? UHS2. Yeah. Oh, let me see. They should be. I think one of the slots on the XT3 is a UHS2 slot. It says U3 on the card. Isn't that what the UHS3 means? Class 10, U3. And it's got some kind of other V30, whatever that is. They're made in China. Tony has a lot of failures in general. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, tidbit of data. Say, it's going to be a black frame with or without the lens cap because it's not. Okay, XT3 does have okay, so both slots are UHS2. All right. If I take out a card, look what it does to the camera. The camera's still on. You have to turn the camera off and then back on for it to boot up after you pull a card. If you hot pull a card with the camera on, it will shut down the camera every time. You can't insert or remove. I don't think you can put it back in either. No, you insert the card, it shuts it down. You have to turn it off and back on. And I guess that's so it'll read the card and set it into the registry, you know, and set it. That's all I can think of. But I found that out when I was changing cards, because I filled up one Saturday, and I noticed it was a red. It had a red icon when the card's full, and it had overflowed into the second card, and so I was going to hot swap it right quick. There was a slight lull in the activity when they were playing the guitar and weaving the rope, and I already had footage of that, so I was going to hot swap a card right quick and stick a fresh one in because it tells you which card slot is full. So I get out my card and I pop it out and go to put it in. Camera shuts down. I think I've done broke it. So I mess with it for a minute and then I turn it off and back on. It comes on. So next time, future, just in case you didn't know that, if you pull the card with the camera on, it will straight shut it down. Yeah, that's interesting. Let me see what I missed here. But I'll tell you, I talk about how I like the IBIS I did and the XH1, but I really haven't missed it in this camera. Even when, like, me and Grant was doing the street photography, I didn't know it. I mean, I just up my shutter speed, and I don't see a problem most of the time. I can shoot I can do 1/60th of a second shot, and it'll be sharp. I have a different metric for sharp. I don't pixel peep anymore. I finally have got that out of my system. So now I look at it on the screen, and if I really like the photo and it just really talks to me, I'll take the raw file version. I write the JPEG and the raw. So I'll take the raw file into Darktable and I'll edit it in Darktable. And then typically when it fills the whole screen, it's about a 11 by 14 image roughly in the editor screen. So I'm looking at it as an 11 by 14. I lean back some, about, that far away. And if it looks good there, I don't care if it's slightly out of focus. I can't see if the eye is razor sharp or if it focused on the eyelash. It doesn't matter. It looks good. I'm going to probably print it as an 8 by 10. That's scaling it down some. It's going to look fine. There's no value in worrying over whether the eyelash or the pupil is dead razor sharp. I mean, if you're sending the images to Vogue for the cover, I would want the pupil to be sharp. I would stress over it. But if I'm just going to make a photo book and it's going to be a bunch of black and white photos of people riding bikes in the city of Chattanooga, and it's a coffee table book, I don't care. I think it gives it character. once you get over to the whole pixel peeping thing and you start trying to tell the story with the photo, I've believed this from the beginning. Story trumps technical skill anytime. I have seen people that have YouTube channels with terrible videography. Exhibit A, um, the Vegetable Police, Casey's other channel. All he's doing is walking around with a little cheap old Sony, I think it's an X3000 Handycam, holding it in his hand, videoing himself, talking about what he's going to eat that day. That's all he's doing. But he can tell the story in such a way that you want to watch it. Another one that's a perfect example is, you know, this is a sort of a dead horse that's been beat to death, but it's Casey Neistat. He can tell a good story. He can connect with his audience. He doesn't use expensive cameras. He uses, what is it, an 80D? You know, a Canon 80D with a kit lens. He uses the kit lens because he doesn't need an expensive camera to tell a good story. He don't need that crutch. Story trumps technical skill every time. And if you can ever get past that whole, I mean, if you can get past that whole obsession over perfect technical quality, your photography will excel to the next level immediately. If I could get that through to people, if you pixel peek, no camera or lens combination will look good. It is a self-defeating exercise. Perfectly said, Max. You said it perfectly. You will always find failure in the equipment because it's never going to be technically perfect. You're right. That was the best way I've ever heard it said. And it blows my mind how people will just, well, I know why a lot of the bigger channels obsess over it, because it gives them content. It gives them something that is divisive in the community, and if you can create tension, people want to get in on it, and it gets them views. You know, I see why the bigger channels worry over pixel peeping, and you know, because you know, like the Fro, I uploaded the raw file so you can download them in pixel peep, and it's because it creates it's a point of contention. You know, they have no content, so they have to make drama. Yes, they're creating drama because drama is views. Drama is a form of story, and they're using that. It's kind of a crutch. It really is. That is why YouTube is bad for photography in general. All they care about is pushing you, quitting you into constantly buying new stuff. Yeah, it's literally a consumerism system, and YouTube perpetuates it because they get paid by the advertisers. They want you to do it so they can get paid, and that's the whole purpose of YouTube, is that so that the owners of YouTube can earn money. It's not about information sharing. It never was. Someone told me one time, the easiest way to get something to work with a web-based platform is find some service that's on the internet that somebody is charging for, and give it away for a year. If you can give it away for a year, you'll build an audience base strong enough that then you can draw advertisers in and start laying ads on it. And then you can also create a duplicate site that has expanded content and charge for it, and you will draw in a consumer base. You ever heard of YouTube Red? It's exactly what they did. The exact system. They played it out perfectly. And it amazes me how people think this stuff is some kind of public domain. We're using a private entity's program to interact right now. They own it, not the public interest. So if they want to shut down this stream, they can pull the plug on it. Nothing I can say about it. I just have to live with it. You know, they allow us access because the advertisers want to put ads on these live streams, on the videos. And then the big channels, they want to keep expanding their base, so they need to keep drawing people in. And the easy way to do it, the easiest way, is drama. It's much harder to do it with comedy, and it's much harder to do it with information, you know, teaching. Teaching is way harder than comedy, and comedy is harder than drama. Drama is the easiest one. It's, you know, how hard is it to get in an argument with your wife? About that quick, you know. But if you're trying to teach somebody something, it's difficult to teach people if you don't know what you're doing. You know, if you're not a teacher, it's just hard to do. But yeah, that's unfortunately, that's part of what makes YouTube bad for photography. Maxim's right. That's why I've started closing all my videos with my catchphrase, and it's not so that I can print a T-shirt and write it on it, because I might do that at some point. But once I get to 100,000 subscribers, I may have some merch. I found that little website that all these guys are getting their T-shirts printed at. They're not buying up T-shirts and warehousing them. There's some company that you can third party through, and you send your art to them, and they apparently laser print the logo and then ship the shirt. So it's a real easy system to set up. But my mantra has become, get your camera out and go take a picture with it, you know? Oh, look, my Aunt Donna will buy one. I didn't know you were still here. You've listened to me rant about the photography channels on YouTube. I've run these videos so long before. I was doing them for my business on Instagram for a while, and I would run them so long on Instagram, the live streams, that people would literally go and mow their yard and come back, and I'd still be doing the stream. But yeah, that's the reason I started closing my videos with that was, you know, the last thing I want you to hear me say is get your camera out and go take a picture with it, because that's the whole point. That's what we're doing, you know. We're photographers, so, you know, go get your camera out, go take a picture with it. You know, it's that simple. But it's just I want to be nice, you know. But I think they do. I think they honestly, they start to run out of content when Jared literally makes a video with 2 stereophonic mics and he talks into the mics like this on camera. Dude, they're struggling for content. That's not a video they've planned for weeks to do. I mean, they were like, hey, B&H has got these mics and they said that we could use them for a video. We want to try something with them, and they set up some mics. I mean, that was the silliest video I've ever seen, dude. Yeah, if Nikon didn't sue me for copyright infringement. What I'm gonna do though, is I'm gonna take the Nikon logo and the Fuji logo and merge them. Or to see if I can get with Casey and get that, what did he call it? Canon, Fuji, Nikon's, whatever. Have you heard his little camera conspiracy song when he plays the whole song? He put it on YouTube as a video, and he did the whole song, and he merged the names of all the major camera companies. He's got Leica and Pentax and Olympus, and all of them are in there. And it's a big old long, it's like supercalifragilistic. It's one of them, but it's all the camera company names merged into one word. That was called Good Weed. It had to be. I mean, that was the silliest video. I couldn't suffer through the whole thing. I just have to admit, I didn't watch it all. Let's see here. His shirt special with the Nikon logo. It was the most ludicrous thing I'd ever seen. Yeah, and I've seen some pretty ludicrous videos, and that one was pretty. It's got us talking about it. He created some drama, you know. But that's what they're doing it for, yeah. Fortunately, my channel's small enough. I haven't gotten too many videos yet, so I still have content that I can build that's not drama-based yet. Once I get up to that 6,000 video mark, like Ken, I probably will have to come up with some drama to come up with interesting content. Thanks for the warning, yeah. If you watch literally the first 10 seconds, you've seen the whole video. That's the same thing. He just like, at one point he takes like an old Nikon film camera and pulls the lens and puts it in continuous, high-speed continuous, and then just shoots it. Just holds down the shutter, and it's just going, and he holds it from one mic and then pans it over to the other. And it's like, at the beginning he says, you need to listen to this video with headphones. And it's because he does it in pure stereo. They're literally, the mics are sitting like this with him between them. And when he talks, he'll say, reach over to one, then the other, and the one to the other. And then he's got two subordinate mics down lower for whatever widget he's playing with to record. And yeah, so if you watch about the first 10 seconds, you've seen the whole video. Although I gotta admit, that shutter actuation, that was pretty smooth. He had some good audio fidelity on that. Yeah, Bass Angler, you need to see it. Just watch 10 or 20 seconds. Don't waste your life points on the whole thing. Maybe scrub over to where you see him holding a camera and watch that part. Maxim says, you need to start accusing random YouTubers of being rapists and child molesters if you want to use the correct approach. Dude, isn't that the truth? And I've noticed that now there's a bunch of copycat YouTubers that are jumping on they're bandwagoners, I guess you call them. We used to have a guy that worked in my machine shop, and he earned the nickname Bandwagon. But yeah, I've noticed that there's more now people doing those same sorts of videos, and now they're using the like the robo voice, where it's like so that it isn't their voice when they narrate. You know, it's the deal where you type the words and the robo voice says them or something. So now it's gotten to the point that may be those bot generated videos doing it, but they're building them now. And I guess it's because, you know, those channels are all about, they'll steal content and to get views. You know, now they have to build subscribers too. But back in the day when you only had to have views, they'd generate bots to generate clickbait videos just to get view time. You know, and it was all automated. It wasn't even, they most time had comments disabled. And, you know, it wasn't an interactive system at all, but that's what those are. And I've seen those appearing now. I don't know if y'all seen the guy from England who did who arranged the England workshop. And he basically is validating what all them models have been saying about him, though. You know, he said he saw a lot of the stuff that they're talking about. He saw it happening. You know, he didn't use the word groping. He said that it's not really groping, but it's there is bodily contact. Like he would position models. He'd move their knee or whatever, or move their shoulder. He would touch them, you know. And everybody knows you don't touch the talent. That's off limits. You just don't do it, you know. And he touches the talent. It's just, you know, I don't see how he ain't got sued over that crap, but he somehow doesn't. But yeah, there's numerous videos of him touching the talent. He does it pretty routinely. But, and I mean, it ain't that whole playful crap. He's positioning the models what he's doing, but you know, that's a no-no. Dude, that's just something you don't do. You just don't touch the talent, you know. I've seen plenty of videos where people talk about how they coach people for posing. You know, they talk about how they explain to them how their hand becomes their face, or you know, where they move their hand to represent it, so they don't touch the talent. You should never have to touch them. You know, not even with like a stick. You know, there's no reason to ever touch them. we're sentient humans. We can understand verbal commands. He says, it's a shame that almost all of the photography channels are so gear-centric and drama-oriented. Yeah. Bass angler, I saw that. but yeah, well, that's kind of the reason why I do lens reviews, is because it gives me something to talk about that brings something of value to the viewer, you know, because you gotta give the viewer something of value, whether it be entertaining, and I'm not very entertaining, so I have to make up for it somewhere else. So I have to come up with technical information, you know, or if you can't be entertaining, you gotta give either some kind of technical knowledge or some sort of teaching. You know, there has to be, it's a mutual exchange. So, you know, you're trading their time for your information, and they're trying to come up with something that viewer's time is worth enough to them that they'll stay engaged. Because now, if you've never read the book How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck, it's a good read, even if you just read it for the anecdotes, because the guy who wrote it, it's an excellent primer on how to shoot video. I read it about once a year, every time. And he's the one of the guys that says story is king. It will trump everything every time. The fuzziest video, the poorest lit video, if it has good story, people will watch it. But if it doesn't have a good story, they're gone. And it's like he said, it's either entertain or off. That's his mantra. Because now with YouTube, you're one mouse click away from not being watched. And to maintain that engagement is tough. People's attention span has shrunk over the years. I think the average attention span now is less than 10 seconds, like 8 or 7 seconds now. And with some of the younger generation, it's like 3 seconds. If you can't attach to them in 3 seconds, then you've lost them. And I could see it. I can still see it on my analytics. If I pull up the analytics charts on my channel, you can see it starts out with, it's never 100% at the beginning of the video for some reason. I've yet to understand that. It's like 96% at 0 seconds. By 10 seconds in, it's dropped to 60. I lose 30% in the first 8 to 10 seconds. All of them. It just tanks. And when I was running an intro, I had an intro way back 2 years ago. I built this really cool little intro, had 3 or 4 little clips, and it played a little song. It's 10 seconds long. I was losing like 75% of my viewers in 10 seconds when the intro was playing. So I cut the intro out. So I immediately started the video, and that's when I started overlaying David Saylor's Georgia Photographer with the line between them. I just laid that in while I was talking, and it would appear and then fade out, because I had to hurry up and get their attention and hold on to it. And I was wasting that precious intro time on a piece of footage that no one cared about. And it was boring when they were clicking off. I was losing them. It's very powerful information. YouTube gives you some very powerful information. I still have the cats. Yeah, I haven't featured them in a while. I really need to get them back in. I've got, they're all grown now. I don't have any kittens, so they're not real playful. They're really more of walking around and being lazy now. But I do need to feature them more. Maximum, I have the attention span of God. You think I can sell some of... Yeah, you've been here for the whole live stream. Yeah, you're on. Yeah, there's God level attention span. I can't get my hand and stay in frame. I have to lean way back to space it out. You need to get them back in there. Yeah, I do. And I will soon, because we've been traveling some in the last part of June, first part of July, so it's about to calm down a little bit. I'm gonna be home for several weeks while we get a bunch of work done in the machine shop. Another reason I haven't been able to build a midweek video was, one, I kind of spent my Sunday evening time that I normally build at doing that wedding, and two, I've been working a lot this week. I got a couple of jobs that are about due, and I've been helping the guys get them done. Done a bunch of TIG welding today. About got my hand back in TIG welding. I've done it so much in the last day or two. You will get rusty on that pretty quick if you don't practice a lot. I was kind of happy to see that I was actually starting to get a smooth beat again by the end of the day. But yeah, that's why people have that. They create the drama, and that's why. And they'll do 3-act structure, and yeah, you lose it fast. That's true. But I've noticed also that the photography community on YouTube is not the only community that is like that. I follow a couple of other communities. One is the bushcraft thing. I kind of like that because it's like advanced camping, and I enjoy that sort of stuff. And they're a lot the same way, because after you teach someone how to build an emergency shelter and how to build a fire 17 different ways without matches, and what knife is the best knife, and which bush axe is the best one, whether it's the Grand Falls, Brooks, this or that, or whatever Swedish axe. Spoiler alert, I didn't get one of those. I got the cheap little $30 one, and it's razor sharp and works great. You have to come up with alternative content, so they start doing things the same way. Even in that community, they have the same kind of stuff. Well, they don't have bushcraft guys molesting women, but I was able to work it in, Max. I did it. but yeah, that's the reason they do it. It's not value added at the end of the day, but that's why they do it. It just gets people attention. That's why I try my best not to do it. You know, it's like there's got to be. I want to have the John Free philosophy. You should look up the video that said, in the title of the video, it's What a Joy in Life, or What a Joy of Life video. That's a really good video, because he talks about how much joy it brings him to just go out and shoot street photos. It's a real good video. You know, he's kind of no nonsense. That's what I like about him. You know, but I've done circle back around to him. But if I had to pick my favorite mainline YouTubers, I like what's the guy in Fort Worth? The Art of Photography. Crud, I can't remember his name now. Ted Forbes, isn't that his name? I like him. I like his channel. He does some stuff that I ain't really interested in. You know, he does that whole fancy photographer series, or whatever you call it, where he goes and he interviews the photographers. But I like his channel. I like how he is. He's about the art of photography. I like that about his channel. It could use a little more vlogging style content. I like it when he does the downtown Fort Worth vlogs. Those are really neat to me. It's like when I did my video at the first of the year, and I said, you know, what do y'all want to see? And one of y'all said, local content, because I think it was somebody in England said, I'm in the UK and I like to see what it looks like where you're at. And that's kind of why, I guess, the reason I like the street photography videos, because it's in an environment that I'm not allowed to see because of my geography. But I like those vlogs he does. He does them from time to time, not often, but he'll do them. But I like his mail call videos when he opens the mail and shows the books people send him and stuff. I really like to watch those. Those are kind of interesting. it inspires me to want to make a photo book. But man, getting enough content to build one is tough, because I want to do a themed based one. I've mentioned this before. I want to do one on trains. But man, getting the content, I have apparently picked a very difficult subject to photograph when it's just happen chance photos because I just can't seem to find the photos I want. I got one the other day. I did see one the other day, and I pulled over and got that picture, and I added it to the folder. I found there's a little bitty low trestle made of steel over here in St. Elmo, and there was a coal train parked on top of it, and cars driving under it. And it's a low overhead trestle. I want to say it might be 13 feet, but it's not very tall. It's sitting on like giant I-beams, you know. It's that kind of trestle. And like I said, the coal train was sitting on top of cars going under, and I grabbed that one. I just got a comment. Somebody saw one of the videos. Yeah. I want to do it. That would be a real good one, especially since you have a common subject, and you could literally name it something like exercise, or literally the word walk, and then, you know, give a brief description on the inside first page in the forward or whatever about what you were doing when you found these photos, and, you know, and give them context. Dude, I bet that'd be an interesting book. I'd like one. I'd show it on this channel if I had one. I got to print t-shirts because Aunt Donna says she wants one. Are you still here? Let's see if you give up and left yet. I still show I've got 6 people watching. This car is going by over here. That's a pretty neat shot, isn't it? You're still here? You taught Max everything he knows. I find that suspicious. You're still here? But yeah, I'm working on that one. I'm about to start a second one. That's actually a huge lie. You don't want to get pegged with that later. But yeah, I've got a second idea. Ever since Philadelphia, I've decided I want to do a street photography photo book called this is my theme, is either relax without the ed at the end, or chilled, or low key, one of those kind of words. Because if you watch the Philly street photography video, at the end I play a bunch of photos, and some of those photos are like people relaxing. Like there's one of a construction worker, and he's just resting on the railings of the temporary structure, and there's a guy sitting in a corner just leaned up against the wall resting, you know. I think I want to do one of those of people relaxing. But I think that I have found that it adds so much to the photo if you add a person to an environmental photo. It's one thing to take an environmental photo. It's another thing to put a person in that photo somehow, meaningfully. You know, landscape photography is beautiful if you want to make calendars. But if you want the photo to be interesting, you need to stick a person in it somewhere. That's what makes it interesting. It's like you can take pictures of snow-capped Rocky Mountains, but when you look down the valley from the top of the mountain, and there's all these little red squares, which are the tents at Advanced Base Camp, it makes it more human, I guess. It makes it more interesting, and people want to see it. They want to know more about it because there's a human element. I've noticed that. It's like my pictures are more interesting if there's people in them. I've started noticing that. You know, it'll be an interesting photo. Like, I like to shoot photos of signs as well, which is another thing that I'm thinking about. You know, what I've done is I've just started creating folders, and I'll just copy and drop photos into those folders, and then once you get to about 80 photos, that's enough to build a photo book. You know, a reasonably well compiled one. You can do them with less, but I like to make my photo books have about 80 pages. It seems like to me that's about the right thickness. The book's about that thick, you know. It seems like it just seems like a book to me if it's got, because it's like that way the interior content is thicker than the two covers. And I have them printed typically from Shutterfly prints my books. And I've only had one that give me trouble. The pages fell out of one of them. And I emailed them and told them the pages were falling out and sent an iPhone photo of the pages coming out of the book. They mailed me another one, no questions asked. And literally the next day I got an email confirmation for the order of the book. And the next day I got the shipping confirmation that the book was shipped. So I'm a big believer in Shutterfly. But if I'm printing big, yeah, that is cool. If I'm printing real big, I use Nation's Photo Lab because they'll let you send, like I sent them my picture of the solar eclipse that happened last year or year before last. I think it was last year, that the one that come across the U.S. I went up to Dayton, Tennessee and photographed it, and that image is basically a black frame with a white donut in it, and there's a couple of stars. And I exported it as a TIFF file, full resolution. It was like 200 megabytes. Nations was the only place that was willing to print it. Yeah, 2017, so it was 2 years ago when that happened. Okay. Wow, it's still been 2 years since that happened. That was fast. So you were in Nebraska when it went by. Interesting. You shot it before I did because I was in Dayton, Tennessee. Where I was at, I was about 15 miles south of the dead center of the path. So I lost about 15 or 20 seconds of the full eclipse because of that. But where we was at Sierra's College in Dayton. So since she had student ID, we were able to get on campus and it wasn't crowded. You know, the city streets were overrun with people wanting to watch it. And literally there was just, they had the little observatories, telescopes, the science department had their stuff, and there was just plenty of room on the yard. So we just set us up a blanket and waited for it to happen. But but I sent them a 200 megabyte TIFF file of a black frame with a white donut, and they printed it, and it looks beautiful. I shot the eclipse, and it was literally right under the center of the path. I was going to be, but I like the convenience. Is here, I've been doing the exercise walk, take a camera with me things since February of this year. So I have thousands of images to choose from. That is the hardest part, boiling it down to 30 or so. Yeah, like I said, I like to use about 80 in a photo book. At least 80 pages is my goal. Sometimes I'll put multiple photos on a page. You know, my personal, when we go on a trip somewhere that takes a while, like a 2-week trip, I'll take all the photos and then I'll build a photo book. You know, it's like our photo albums is what it boils down to. But if I was going to do a coffee table book, it would have one photo per page and they'd all be the same. Typically, they'd all be the same format, whether they be 4x5, you know, 8x10 or whatever, to where it's a consistent theme. Yeah, I guess your theme could be chaos and you could just collage it. But you could dump like your whole folder on the Shutterfly and blow up their server and then tell it, build me a book. It'd be interesting. We ought to do that at some point. Just upload something like 10,000 images and tell it to build a photo book with 100 pages and see if it can get them all in there. Their server would be smoking. It'd look like somebody's yearbook. The little thumbnails. That would be hilarious. But yeah, I've got like I said, I started a second folder that I'm going to do for the relaxation. And I've got that third one kind of kicking around the idea about signs and signage. I think signs are really cool, especially old vintage signs or signs of buildings that are like, what's it called? Urban decay style signage. It would look like the camera sensor. Yeah, it'd just be pixels. I'm working on a photo book. Oh, Long Rider. Why don't you get the rest of the guitar strings, like the E and the A and the D and the B, and dude, just one string off the guitar? That's gonna be kind of boring. I mean, you what, coiled up, straight. I mean, uh-huh. Oh yeah. All right. It's 15 after 10, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I mainly wanted to get on here and kind of give y'all an update as to what I've been doing this week and why I didn't put out a video on Wednesday like I normally do. But bad boy Jeff. But yeah, it was really interesting, and I will in my next vlog. I'll cut a piece of it. They won't gig me if I put, I think it's 4 seconds or less of a copyrighted song. As long as it ain't over like 4 seconds of it, I can do it for whatever what they call that. They got some kind of a use that makes it okay if you don't go over 4 seconds of it. So I thought I'd cut that in, and maybe I can also like be talking over it at the same time, because that's how the bots get away with running copyright music, is they talk over it or they'll play a tone at the same time, and it breaks up the search algorithm, can't find it. But I'll stick that in there and let y'all see a piece of that. But I was kind of proud of it. It turned out better than I thought it would. But that's why I haven't posted a video. I got one coming Saturday, so be looking for that lens review. I actually got some different photos from the same trip to Philly, but with that lens that I took that Thursday and some on that Friday. Goodbye. Good to see you, Aunt Donna. Thank you for logging in and sticking it out for a 90-minute live stream. And post some videos that you take with that handicap. Put them on Facebook. I want to see them. So, but this is David, the Georgia photographer, and get your camera out and go take a picture with it. So if you're watching this video after it's posted as a video, thank you for suffering through to the end. I appreciate it. And good night. Y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye.